So while we're talking about fueling expenses on the road, let's move over to our next item. I think we're talking about the facts on tax. All right, so one expense that affects fleets more than anyone else is the taxes on fuel. And by that I mean state fuel usage taxes, which are something that not a whole lot of fleets ever take a second look at. You just file all of your taxes each year, and a lot of fleet operators assume there's really nothing you can do about it. But there are ways you can reduce that expense. Usage taxes vary a large amount from state to state, and that tax is based on the state you're in when you're actually using the fuel, regardless of where you purchased it. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you're driving from Georgia to Florida. The state fuel tax in Georgia is much lower than the state fuel tax in Florida. So if you buy fuel before crossing that state line, the state of Georgia will charge 15 cents every gallon you use there. But Florida charges a usage tax of 31 cents per gallon. So the taxes you're being charged for the remaining fuel is going to outweigh the money you saved by getting the fuel in Georgia in the first place.
All this tax stuff sounds tricky, and in some ways it is. But what you're trying to figure out is how to use the tax system to save money on fuel rather than just spending money on taxes. The biggest savings comes from avoiding the higher taxes altogether, but of course we can't just drive into other states to try to avoid taxes. So the important thing to keep in mind is to keep good tax records of where fuel is used so that you can maximize your fuel tax recoveries or minimize your fuel tax expenses. And you know, what you're trying to do also is to avoid interest and fines if you get audited. Many states are raising their audit rates, and it's important to have your records in order so that if you should get an audit, you've got all the data collected in a way that's easy to reproduce for the auditors. But it's important not just to have a system in place, but to rely on the expertise of tax experts and for you as the fleet administrator to share with them your knowledge and understanding of the business so you can work together to come out with real strategies to optimize and minimize tax payments and keep the records in a way that can withstand audit scrutiny. So now I'll turn it back over to Paul to talk about our next strategy.